The crisp scent of pine needles filled the air as the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a blanket of stars illuminated above the vast expanse of the New Jersey Pine Barrens. A group of 8 friends devised a plan for a weekend camping trip to escape their hectic lives in the city. Each year, they reunited at different locations, but this time they sought something different, an adventure in the wilderness, far from technology and distractions. As they set up their tents at a remote campsite, laughter echoed through the trees. They shared stories around the crackling campfire, swapping ghost tales and legends of the region. It was then that Jake, the designated storyteller, leaned closer, eyes glinting with mischief. He asked if any of them heard about the Jersey Devil, a grin creeping across his face. Rhea scoffed and said that's just a folklore story. Jake replies that maybe it's not just a story, and the creature is said to haunt these woods, born of a cursed mother and destined for a life of fright. People claim to have seen it, some even say they've heard its spine-chilling screams. The group fell silent, exchanging uneasy glances over flickering flames. The legend had always intrigued them, but also filled them with trepidation. Eventually, laughter resumed, but an unease lingered in the air as they decided to turn in for the night. But around midnight Mia awoke in the dead of night, a sense of foreboding gnawing at her. Clutching her sleeping bag tightly, she listened to the sounds of the forest, leaves rustling, branches creaking, and the distant calls of nocturnal creatures. Suddenly, a guttural sound echoed through the trees. Mia's eyes widened. It was a sound unlike any animal she knew, a combination of a howl and a scream. She quietly crawled out of her tent, her heart racing, then tried to wake her friends. The others stirred, rising from their tents, with sleep-laden eyes. Lila asked what was going on, rubbing her arms to ward off the chill. Mia insists that something was out there, pointing toward the dark perimeter of their campsite. Without a flashlight, they gathered close, whispering about what they might have heard. Each suggested rational explanations, an animal, the wind playing tricks, or even an echo of their own stories. But deep down, a creeping sense of dread settled among them. The following morning, despite the previous night's wild sounds, they hiked deeper into the woods, determined to shake off the fear. As they ventured, the tales of the Jersey Devil lingered in their minds, merging fantasy with an eerie reality. They discovered a dilapidated cabin, its windows shattered and walls covered in vines, as if nature sought to reclaim it. Jake proposed they explore, and the group reluctantly agreed. Inside, they found remnants of a previous occupant, a journal, dusty and yellowed. Jake flipped through the pages, reading an account of a man's obsession with the Jersey Devil. The words grew frantic as he detailed his encounters, leading to scribbled warnings of dangers lurking in the woods. The group's playful attitude shifted to one of anxiety, overshadowed by an unshakable feeling of being watched. As they left the cabin, the sunlight waned, casting long shadows across their path. Suddenly, a chilling scream shattered the silence, raw, anguished, unlike anything they had heard before. Panic erupted, and they sprinted back toward their campsite, hearts racing. Tension built as night descended once again. They huddled around the fire, feeling vulnerable and exposed. The laughter and stories of earlier in the trip faded, replaced by strained silence. As they discussed their options, a quick rustle from the tree line drew their attention. Rhea asked what was that in the tree line, with her voice tight with fear. Priya suggested that they should go investigate in an attempt to project confidence, despite her trembling hands. Armed with flashlights, they bravely ventured towards the sounds. The light danced through the trees, illuminating the underbrush, but revealing nothing. Just as they began to relax, a massive figure emerged from the darkness, a creature unlike anything they had imagined, with a deer-like head, long wings, and piercing crimson eyes. Dan sees it first, and overcome with fear, he blurts out that it's the Jersey Devil. Chaos erupted as they turned to flee in different directions, fueled by an instinct to survive. The chilling hoots and unearthly screams followed them relentlessly. Mia stumbled, her foot catching on a root. She glanced back, seeing the beast's shadow looming closer. She cried for help, but her voice was lost in the cacophony. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, she scrambled to her feet just as Ben reached her side. He grabbed her arm, pulling her towards a dense cluster of trees. They squeezed through the tight branches, hoping to lose the creature in the thicket. Meanwhile, Lila, Priya, and Rhea found each other, their breaths short and labored. They decided to stick together, but also wondered where the rest of them. They quickly realized that the darkness and confusion had separated them from the others. The night grew colder, and the air thick with fear. As panic enveloped the group, they managed to regroup near the remnants of the abandoned cabin. They barricaded the door with fallen branches, hearts pounding in their chests. Outside, they could hear the Jersey Devil circling, its growls mixed with the eerie, echoing cries of the night. They lit an emergency flare they had brought along, illuminating the area with a brilliant red light. The creature hesitated, its eyes reflecting the flare's glow. "It's scared of the light," Jake shouted, determination igniting within them. Working together, they lifted the flare, moving it near the windows, hoping to hold the creature back. The beast lunged, scratching the walls with claws that sounded like metal on wood, fueled by relentless hunger, curiosity, and a primal rage. With dawn approaching, the red glow of the flare guided them. They launched their plan through a fleeting moment of hope. The group prepared for one last rush, keeping the flare lit as bait to draw the Jersey Devil away from the cabin. The firelight flickered, illuminating their faces with determination. On 3. Dan counted down. As they burst through the door, the creature reared back, caught off guard by their sudden appearance. In the chaos, they made a break for it, barreling through the trees toward the distant light of the rising sun. As daylight broke, they watched as the Jersey Devil faltered, retreating into the shadows of the woods, leaving nothing but an echo of its haunting call. Back in the safety of their vehicles, the friends were forever changed. They shared hushed conversations about the terror they had faced, bonded by their experience. The legends of the Pine Barrens were no longer just stories, they had witnessed the unexplainable. As they drove away, laughter and camaraderie returned, but an unspoken agreement lingered among them, not to speak of that night too often, lest they summon the shadows of the Pine Barrens again. Years later, they would reminisce about their adventure, the flickering campfire always a reminder of the darkness they had faced together and the eerie echoes of the Jersey Devil that continued to haunt the Pine Barrens, waiting for the next group of campers to awaken its legend once more.